Graham, good to see you again. I'll start with the news that we've learned of today, that Harry Lewis has joined Carlisle for an undisclosed fee. Sam Walker has come in his place.
Yeah.
Firstly, with Harry, why was he allowed to leave the football club?
The club received an inquiry and then an offer. And look, we're not in the modern game. You know, you get offers, you get phone calls, and you know it's not just through you. You know what I mean? You know the player or his agent can potentially be aware of this, that, the other. So we always have quite a transparent operation with players, or I like to anyway. But through the club, and it was an offer that was acceptable for the club. Harry expressed a desire to investigate it further. It was good for him as in moving up a league. It was good for him on a personal point of view, and he wanted to pursue it. So from that point on, it was a deal which happens most transfer windows that all the parties were reasonably comfortable with. But we had to make sure, obviously, that we had our plan in place to obviously replace a good player with another good player. Because, as I said, our ambition in the transfer window is to come out of it, and strongly we went into it. So but we had, we have plans in place for every position, because we've got to be ready. And we were delighted to be able to bring Sam Walker. There's a history with Sam Walker and Colin Doyle, and so it was as soon as we knew we could do that, then we sort of pushed the green button on Harry.
We know of Harry's qualities. We've seen that over the 18 months that he's been with the football club.
Yeah.
As manager, did you have any reservations about him leaving?
Well, it's hard for me because I've only been here 2 months. So, you and to be fair, Harry's played every game, so he's had more exposure for me than most. And I wouldn't say he's been overworked in the games, to be fair, but he's not let us down either. So it's all about having viable options if you do lose a player. So every player, and I mean every player, we look at and go, okay, what if, and then who do we have if we can get them, this, that, the other. And that was the scenario. So if we hadn't had somebody who we were comfortable bringing in to play as well, or if even better than Harry, then we potentially wouldn't have done it. Or we wouldn't have done it, because ultimately we have to do what's right for Bradford City. But there is a part of us that we have to understand the players' desires as well. And Harry, I only spoke to Harry just as we were getting off the bus after the game on Tuesday night, because it wasn't confirmed to me until just before, to be fair, the end of the bus journey. So I had a chat with him, and he was happy to go. But he was also delighted, or grateful for the time at Bradford. He'd had a fantastic season last season. He'd enjoyed it this season. He enjoyed the time with myself and Chris, and obviously Doyle. But these things happen in football. Then people move on.
An acceptable bid, accepted then. Does that money become available to you, Graham, this January window to reinvest?
There's money available. I don't know how much the fee was, because it's not my. I'm not that. I don't want to get into all nooks and crannies of the football club. I'm not the financial sort of guardian. So, but the owner, the CEO Ryan, we all have the same ambitions to make Bradford a successful football team. So, if there's something we can do, then there's a limited amount of funds there. But I don't know what that figure is. I just trust the guys that do know, that they'll tell me whether we can do something or not. That's it. It's as a manager in modern game, you have limited control over all those sort of things. So I try to work with the people that have the control.
As a manager, an experienced manager as well, do you always have to be ready for situations like this?
Yeah. Like I said to you when just before pre-January, when it was. Do you have a plan, preparation? And that's, well, you sort of, but being ready to adapt to whatever comes your way, because you don't know who might cover any of your players. There might be more. I don't know. In fact, there will be, without a shadow of a doubt. So you always have to be ready for it, but ultimately we have to have what's in the best interest of Bradford City first and foremost, and that is the main driver in it. And then comes in the potential, and then the player, and then the potential to bring in another player. All those things come into the factor. But at the end of the day, in the EFL, and I mean all the way through, everyone's for sale, aren't they? Really, in reality, everyone's got a price. It happens every year. But we're trying to keep our best players, the ones that we feel can help us go forward. But sometimes along the way, you're going to have to change the personnel.
You say there will be more. Does that mean that Jake Young will be a part of those more that leave the club this window?
I honestly, you could throw every name here, and I don't know. Like I say, everyone has a price tag in the EFL, but we've had a bid for Jake, as I confirmed the other day. We turned it down. It's not acceptable to us, and that's as far as I know. And that was from Tuesday night. Yeah. So nothing's changed from that perspective with Jake. So everything's the same as it was before. But another bid could come in for any other player within the next week or so. We have to just be ready to work with it and do the best for the team.
With his injury situation then, Graham, this building's going to stay up, right? With his injury situation then, Graham, what is the situation in regards to his availability right now for you?
Yeah, he's getting rehab and treatment with the physios. He's stepped forward today, on the treadmill, I think. So he's progressed his rehabilitation, and as soon as he declares himself fit, then he'll be available for selection. It's just like any other player with a niggle, with an injury, which we've got 3 or 4. Their rehab progresses each day. Hopefully, that's the trajectory you want it to go on. He's one of those guys, and as soon as he becomes fit enough to be able to train, because you have to train first. I'm not going to throw him in at the deep end, but as soon as he's available to train, then he comes in our thoughts to select.
You obviously look after the football side of things at this football club, and as you've discussed, you leave the financial side of things to those who look after that responsibility. As we've already discussed, given the fact that he's been out on loan at Swindon this season and that he can only play for 2 clubs in a campaign, if he was fit right now, would you play him?
If he was good enough to get in our team at that precise moment. There's no guarantees for any player to get in our team. Would he be available for selection? 100%. Would he be in my thoughts? 100%. And if I felt he could help us win, then he would be in the team.
I asked that just from a business sense, that if he was available, but he had, of course, an asset as well, is your sole focus to use him as a footballer if he's available, and to not think about the possibility that if you did play him, that would rule him out of a potential move away from the club and money coming in?
Yeah, 100%. My focus, listen, I understand, I don't just, because I have a responsibility to the club as well, and I work for people. I'm not the boss of Bradford City. I'm the football manager, so I try to keep my focus, my influence on the things that I'm supposed to, and that's the football side of it, and pick the best team to win as many games as possible. And no one has told me and sat me down and say, you cannot pick Jake Young. Not once. So if he becomes available, he's available to be picked, but I can't guarantee one player in that squad that they're guaranteed to be picked. No, nobody.
Sam Walker.
Yes.
What does he bring to the football club?
Good goalkeeper. I think I know of his time in Scotland. I've spoken to a couple of people in Scotland about him from his period there. He obviously had a relationship with Colin Dorr up there as well, and they did have discussions with him in the summer at Bradford, because there was obviously a lot of speculation around Harry at the time, obviously prior to me being here, and so there's a missed opportunity potentially in the summer with that, with obviously Harry staying here, and then when the Harry Lewis situation sort of progressed, we made contact with Sam and his agent again. His contract at Charlton was coming to an end, and it was almost like the perfect timing. So I've leaned on Doyler a lot on the technical side of it, because look, I'm a football coach and a manager, but I do tend to lean a lot on my goalkeeping coaches to give me the sort of the finer detail of goalkeeping, and he assures me that Sam is an excellent goalkeeper and will certainly help us win games. And he's trained today. He was superb in training today, so it was great. I spoke to him last night on the phone. Really confident guy, and he's straight into it. Straight into speaking to chatting with lads and into training. So he's probably frustrated at not playing as much as he'd liked in the last year or so. Certainly in this season so far. I think he'd had the bit between his teeth, certainly at Kilmarnock when he was playing regular. Came down south for personal reasons, and then he's not played much. But he's chomping at the bit to play games, and he's available for selection. Because they've got a decision there to make because Doyle was so good the other night.
Yeah, exactly. We'd met him only an hour ago. He's a tall chap.
Yeah.
Is that how you like your goalkeepers?
No, but I'll look at their attributes. If I went back on the goalkeepers that have played for me previously, he's the tallest by far. I've had goalkeepers 6 foot, 6'1". I just go for their ability. Their temperament is a big one for me. That they give an assurance to the team. That's a big factor when I want to sign a goalkeeper or inherit a goalkeeper. I want to see their character. I'm not one for getting these crazy guys behind you. You don't know whether they're coming or going, and all this. I like to have a cool temperament but an all-round goalkeeper. So they obviously, certainly in League Two, you're going to come up in physical battles, but that never underpinned Harry, who wasn't as big as Sam. So no, it'll be fine.
Team news-wise, going into Saturday, how are you shaping up?
Pretty good. We obviously the game the other night we made 7 changes. All those players came through that unscathed. Obviously didn't get through the whole 90 minutes, but they certainly played more than we expected them to be fair. And we just checked them over this morning. They seem in good spirits, which I expected, but their bodies are a little bit battered and bruised, as you'd expect for first game for a long time for a few of the boys. But the way we train, the way they train, they'll be ready to go again on Saturday. So there's no one missing that was available on Tuesday. But obviously we bring Kieran and Brad back into the squad because obviously they were suspended the other night.
We spoke on Tuesday after the game about those that did come in to the game who had handed an opportunity, taking that chance. How competitive is it now for you going into Saturday with selection choices?
Yeah, I think it's really reinvigorated the group. I think the team that had been playing week in week out had done ever so well, but just sort of started to teeter off in the last couple of games. I don't think it had that much effect on the result because I still think our performances warranted more. But for us to play how we want to play in an aggressive fashion, in a highly energetic fashion, we need to be in really good shape. But we also need to be able to change the team at times. And that was, if I'd have been here longer, maybe 5-6 months, I maybe would have changed the team over the Christmas period because I'd have known what I had in the building. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to get any bounce games or reserve games, and there's some lads that hadn't played, so I couldn't just put my hand on the heart and change the team on a hope. I needed to see. But what I did see it the other day, I saw that we had really good players that were pushing to be in the starting 11, and I feel it has added a sort of an extra spark to the squad. I felt that on Monday when we named the team at lunch. Obviously, we got that in the performance, and the boys are in good spirits today. So a few decisions to make, but that's what I wanted. Honestly, if I'd have been sat here thinking, well, it would just be the same team, I'd have been disappointed because that means Tuesday wouldn't have been good enough. But Tuesday certainly was. But there's also players that didn't play on Tuesday that have got credit in the bank because of how they've played before. So yeah, it's decision time.
Definitely not headaches.
No, definitely not headaches. No, honestly, I'll be giving other people headaches probably, but no, it's honestly as a manager that wants to create a winning team and winning squad and culture, you need competition. It underpins everything you've got, and if you don't have that or create it, then you eventually you're going to run out of options, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to have to disappoint some good players who have been playing well, either on Tuesday or previous. but they'll be ready to be picked and contribute to the team's performance whenever they are on the pitch.
Just in terms of your longer term absentees, Jamie Walker and Alex Patterson.
Yeah.
Do you have any definite timescales on either of those two, Greg?
No, Pato had an operation on Tuesday, so it went really well. So he's got a time frame. I think it's 10 to 12 weeks of return. So that obviously rules him out for a little while. Spoke to Jamie and myself this morning, and he's improved again. Hopefully he's going to be out on the grass, not with us, but with the medical guys next week. So it's about him just progressing as quickly as possible, but in the best way. So he'll obviously be back a lot sooner than Pato, which is a shame. But yeah, it'd be good to get Jamie back into the group.
Given Alex's now timescale for a return, you've obviously got a lot of numbers in that area anyway. But is that an area still that you see needs to be strengthened this window, or do you feel you have enough?
No, at the moment I feel we have enough. We still need to see the next couple of performances and people following up on those performances. But we've still got good players in there. I think obviously we've been playing with 3 central midfield players. On Tuesday we played with 2, so we can adapt to what we have available and what we can use. We've always tried to have that sort of adaptability around our squads, that where we're not a slave to a certain system, because if players do miss out through suspension and injury, and then it's a difficult situation. We always try to be adaptable to who's available. So at the moment we have the personnel to pick the teams we want and to win games, but let's see how the next 2 or 3 weeks go, before we confront that situation, if there is one.
Colchester next for you. Obviously have a new manager now in the dugout, Danny Cowley. Is he someone that you've come across before?
No, I don't think our teams have played against each other, to be fair. I've met him once and twice when I was at Scunthorpe and he was at Lincoln, but we never. I don't think we've ever played against each other, so it'll be a new one for both of us. Yeah.
I know you've always been about you and what you do on game day, but in terms of your analysis, how are you preparing for Colchester and what they've got?
Yeah, look, it's he's had one game, so we've analysed that. We always go back if there is a new manager and what he did previous to other games, and get as much as we can, but we dilute it right down for what we give to the players, because they only have to focus on certain things. But it is about, we didn't know what Derby's team was going to be the night, if they'd make any changes or none or 5. Didn't know what shape they'd play, because they'd played 3 or 4 in a different in different games before that. So we prepared our team in the best way possible to get the best out of us, rather than what the opposition were going to bring. How would we play our best game? And I think our team played really well. So that's how we go about things, because we have to, because games can change. Like 20 minutes in, someone gets in, they change their shape. Half time, they change shape, bring subs on. So to be so focused on one certain aspect, I think it's going to change. So you have to be ready to adapt. But first and foremost, I always focus on my own boys and make sure we're ready to play.
Thanks, Graham.
Okay.
Presumably, excuse me, on the transfer window, as we get further into it, 2 and a bit weeks left, that planning that you mentioned becomes more important, because you don't want to lose the player and then they're gone and you haven't got the time to replace them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think the time frame, right now there's still 2.5, 3 weeks to see if there's other options there for players that we have offers in for or interest in or something like that. As it gets close to the end of the window, then it becomes then we have to look after ourselves and say no one's going anywhere, or he isn't going particularly anywhere because we haven't got anyone to replace that player or something. So but it's not right now because there's still plenty of time. But certainly as the window gets towards its end, then it becomes more apparent that we don't want to leave ourselves short, and we're not going to put someone else's interests in front of Bradford City.
And you have said previously you'd like a slightly smaller squad. Is that still the case?
Yeah.
As we go on.
Yeah. But I think it's we have to be prepared for potential injuries or suspensions and carry enough players to be able to overcome that. But not too many. I think we can adapt. Even if we had 15 players, and you miss a couple, you can adapt your team to get the best out of whatever you got, and you can only play 11 any single week. So, but I just think it becomes counterproductive when you have too many players. I think there's disenchantment with some lack of hope. That's not a good environment or feeling to have around a squad that wants to win. And I always, I do look at these players when they're so far away from selection, and I actually have empathy for them, because they work hard, they want to achieve their dreams of playing football, and they're not getting that opportunity. So I don't like to see it. And if we can help them find that option elsewhere, then we try to do that. So, but we have to make sure that we look after ourselves. So and that's what we've been trying to do over the last couple of months, is assess the actual fitness levels and durability and robustness of the players we have. Because if we're picking up a lot of injuries all the time, then we'd have to probably keep bigger numbers. But if we train a certain way and look after the players in a certain way where we can get them out on the pitch more often, then it allows us to have a smaller squad, which obviously you can put your budget more into quality instead of quantity, which makes a better team.
And obviously some players are coming towards the end of their contracts. Does that come into your thinking at all, that maybe money can be made from selling a player rather than waiting until their contract runs out?
Well, I think it comes into the equation, yeah. But I think, in League Two, are you going to sell someone with 6 months on his contract for a lot of money? Probably not. They're probably going to wait that period out. You know what I mean? So then you have to balance up financially what it's going to mean. Is it worth the sort of hassle of not having that player? It's probably not. I think that's probably most levels, to be fair. You're never going to get a big fee for a player with 6 months left on his contract. So that's more probably from the player side and player led, when certainly if they've got 6 months left, they haven't been in the team, they're not playing, and they need to go out and play to protect their career. That's something that you have to think about, because you don't want to hold a player under duress or against his will when you can't actually give him the option of playing, when his contract's running down and he's going to be lack of options. So there's a side of that where you have a sort of a duty of care for your player. As long as it balances in with the best for Bradford City, then that's something you have to consider. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks very much.
Saying, Graham, obviously about every player in the EFL has a price, but when you're in League Two, you're probably a little bit more vulnerable than the rest, aren't you? Because inevitably players are going to look upwards if any interest comes in, aren't they?
Yeah, of course, because it's from a financial perspective, everyone has a price, this, that, the other, but certainly from a player's perspective, or coach or manager, you have ambitions, you want to go, play and manage at the highest level you can. So it's difficult then to sit in front of a player if he's got the opportunity to go up a level or even 2 levels and convince him that it's best to stay here, in this level. 100%. It's as you get lower down, it becomes more difficult for that sell. But it's not beyond the realms of reality that you can convince a player that he's at a certain stage of his career, it's still good to stay with us or in League Two and develop. But it becomes more difficult because the figures as well through the divisions go up. And listen, the players, they do have short careers, and players at this level don't make millions of money, contrary to what people might think. So it's all those little things come into the equation from our side, but certainly from a player side. Yeah.
As you say, about you've got sort of options in case this scenario, that scenario, whatever. Is it literally you go down the team sheet and sort of say, well, if he went, we've got him. If he went, we've got him. In terms of your potential targets, have you sort of got a target almost for each position?
Well, it's difficult to have an exact target, because if they're available and you're not doing something at the start of January, if you do need them, they might not be there by that time. So it's just having a knowledge and a communication with people in the game that that he might be available. He's not playing here, so he could be. You don't even know, but if they're not playing, there's a potential there, just like there is in our squad. So it's you just have to keep your ears and eyes and ears open. We have Stephen Gent, who's in communication with a lot of people speak to Ryan. A lot of people speak with me, and I speak to them, and Chris and Truey and all that lot. So it's and Doyle, obviously from the goalkeeper perspective, I'm not just ruling him into just looking at goalkeepers, but we all have contacts and information, and that's how you have to do it. And And if you smell something coming along, you start going, right, actually, that might happen, so we need to identify this. So, but there's not a defined list of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's, tried that in the past, it's nigh on impossible. Certainly at this level, you know, if you're at the top end in the Premier League and you've got millions spending, it's like, you know, there's no blockages, but at this level it's really difficult. So you just need to be ready to react within the space of 24 hours to do something if you can.
See, when a player goes, someone like Harry Lewis has played every single game, so he's been literally, you know, one of the names on the team sheet.
Yeah.
Does it, in terms of changing the dynamic of the dressing room, you know, mid-season, obviously a player who's literally been there week in, week out is suddenly not there. Does that have an impact on the rest? Is that easy to sort of get round and sort of move on from?
From my knowledge of a changing room, yeah, pretty quick. It does. Listen, once you're in the game of football, you see people go within an hour. And I've played long players for 5-6 years, and then you don't see them again. It's like, they go the next day, and that's it. It happens. It's and people stay in touch with some people don't. It's like that a bit, football, and so players, listen, they'll miss good teammates, and they'll miss the sort of the friendships they have and relationships, but ultimately when they come into train next day, they're thinking about getting in the team and trying to win that game of football that's in front of them. That's how I see it. So that's not to talk down about any player, but I'm sure when I left clubs after 8 years at Preston North End, I'm sure by the following Saturday they were thinking about winning that game, and that was it. It's how it is. So it's that's how the game is. People become used to it, and they crack on. I'm sure Harry will be thinking about winning a game for Carlisle on Saturday. I don't think he'll be thinking about us either.
So in terms of the team adaptability, we've got a different goalkeeper there, but people just, as you say, you work around that, you get used to the new keeper pretty quick. And
yeah, I think that probably takes your focus, doesn't it? It's not the guy who's gone; it's the new one that's come in, and actually understanding what he's about. Getting those relationships going that happen in football. So it's I think footballers and coaches and managers, because we move around, I think you become quite adept at building relationships really quickly, or finding out about people really quickly, but also on the other side letting people go, because that's the sport we're in. But the players have already seen Sam today train. He showed them what he's capable of. He'll train again tomorrow, be on the bus going down. So I think in football you get that closeness really quickly. You almost thrown upon each other straight away. There's no time to dwell or get to know people. You're pretty much in each other's face straight away. So we'll see if he sings a song tomorrow night.